America is not what I've seen when I was deported.
And when Trump won, my husband looked at me, he says, I'm done.
It was mean-spirited, and it's a result of the, frankly, racist, Make America White Again policies coming out of the White House.
If he's not a true American, then I don't think anyone is.
The United States of America always talks about human rights. What I've seen from ICE is absolutely the opposite. I started living the American dream 40 years ago. I could not believe that a dream like that could be really taken away from you. As a young man, America meant a lot because I wanted to live the American dream. I wanted to live the dream of the future. I wanted to build my future.
Love at first sight, I didn't think it was possible, but when I met him, he was gentle, very kind, passionate person. And it just happened. It just happened.
I know it's been really hard on her to not see him for a whole month. Like, I know it's killing her, and every day he calls and he's like, when are you coming? When are you coming?
My husband was always optimistic, and he would say, let's do this, whatever project. And I'm like, no, they're gonna deport you. And he would say, you can't think like that. You can't think. You have to just do this stuff and don't think that we're going anywhere, you know?
My parents never had any history with any businesses they've ever opened. So they just jumped into every single business they ever decided to do together. And they were always just, I don't know if it was them and they were always just good at it or they just like figured it out. My dad's always been good at everything. And my mom's just always been there to help.
I've had 50, 60 people working at the same time. But over the years, I've had hundreds of people.
From the grocery store to the gas stations to downtown Circle.
And anybody and everybody could tell you, with him not here, there's gonna be a big change.
He is probably the kindest soul you'll ever meet.
You know, everybody felt like he was their own father too, including myself.
To build such a business, it has to be from the people to the people. Of course, you're there to make profit. Of course, you're there to make your living. But it's also a joy for me to start relationships with people. It was a great feeling to know that I would participate in building families and supporting a whole economy in Youngstown.
I still look at that door. I don't see him.
Very true, man.
That's what I miss. Sorry.
Never thought for once, let me stop because I'm gonna get deported. So that's why we kept going. He kept it going. He kept it going.
President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Actually, we were watching the elections, and when Trump won, my husband looked at me, he says, I'm done. He said, I'm done. We knew it was over. He had a valid work permit. He was paying taxes.
They asked me to bring a ticket to prove that I'm leaving on the 7th of January. So I came back within 30 days with the ticket. On the 4th of January, I've received a phone call from ICE where they told me that my trip to Jordan on the 7th was not necessary, so you don't have to leave.
We went from a goodbye party, and everybody was coming to say goodbye because we were leaving. We changed it to a victory party.
Well, he's a good man, and good things happen to good people. And I think we said this morning, we're running the 2-minute drill here, and we're going to throw a Hail Mary. And every now and again, you win one, right?
It was too good to be true. The part after that, which is very cruel and inhumane, and you wouldn't think United States government would do anything like that. It's above imagination, what they did.
And they told me, come to our office on the 16th. We will meet and we will discuss what we're gonna do with the whole situation.
And our biggest worry that morning was that they would say, you know what, we are going to set another date. We want you to leave in 2-3 weeks.
They ambushed him, deceived him, tricked him, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
So we went into the back room, door locks behind us. He sits down, the ICE officer, in his chair and says, look, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm taking you into custody.
I just opened the door and I ran out. I ran out to the U.S. congressman. I says, please help me. They're about to take my husband into custody. I don't know why. We had our tickets, we were leaving. Why are they doing this?
A subcommittee of the House Judiciary Committee passed out a bill that asks the Department of Homeland Security to review Amer's case, and that should lead to him not getting deported, and it should lead to him hopefully soon getting out of jail.
It's been an emotional roller coaster, to be completely honest. One day we're happy, one day we're sad, one day we're angry.
That was the first time in the history of private bills that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or the preceding organization, INS, said no after a report had been requested by a committee and after they had requested a stay. We're in new territory here.
We're all nervous. We don't know how he's gonna look. We don't know if he's sick, if he's healthy.
I was worried about him. He lost a lot of weight. When I did get to see him after a week, he lost a lot of weight. But he was strong mentally.
They opened the door to the hallway for us to go in, and it's this community room. And there's all these people with their families sitting at tables. And like, for a second, there was like a little bit of hope, like, okay, we're gonna get to see him, we're gonna get to hug him, like, we're gonna get to tell him it's okay. And then they open this side door, and they're like, oh, this is where you guys go. And we walk into the side door, and he's behind the glass, and he's in a cage, and it was awful.
I am on a hunger strike until they get me out of here. I do not belong in this jail. I belong outside with my family. I love you all.
I waited. I usually get a cup of coffee, and I sit and I wait for him to call me. He didn't call. I waited till 10, 11 o'clock, and then I called the attorney. I says, he didn't call me today. I said, something's wrong. He says, well, give me an hour. I'm gonna call the facility and see, or I'm gonna call ICE. He calls me back after an hour and he says, they can't confirm whether he's there or if he's gone. So automatically I panicked. 10 minutes later, the officer calls and he says, we have Amer Adi here. Do you want to speak to him? And I says, of course. At that moment, he spoke and he says, they're going to put me on a plane to Amman in the next half an hour.
And he was treated like an animal, locked up in a cell, and they threw away the key, and they wouldn't listen to anybody.
We were leaving, and they should have just left it January 7th, and he would have been able to say goodbye to the girls and to the community and everybody that loves him.
These are still humans. If you don't want them in the country, let them go back to where they came from, but don't treat them like they're animals.
You know, we've seen other dark periods, but this is different. Now what we have is an agency that has been told, go rogue, be cowboys, treat these people like cattle. They have no value.
I cannot understand and I cannot imagine that somebody would carry such a hate in their hearts, such a feeling where you take that decision to destroy the family, destroy everything, and to destroy the dreams of somebody who had lived for 40 years building that dream.
It's not just happening with my family, it's happening all over the country. And there's many families being ripped apart. No, they don't care. No, they don't care.
Why would you want to humiliate me? Everything was set up for me to leave. Why?
Perhaps the most insidious thing about this case is that the reason Amer was deported was because some ICE bureaucrat somewhere made a determination that that marriage to Adi was somehow a marriage of convenience, not a real marriage. That determination of marriage fraud was not made by an immigration judge. It was not made in an open courtroom. Amer did not have the chance to confront his accuser, to test the evidence, to cross-examine witnesses, to bring witnesses of his own. And there are many witnesses who would testify to the fact that that marriage was a good marriage, including his ex-wife.
It's been almost 2 weeks. I feel, of course, saddened by the fact that I was deported. And at the same time, I feel happy that I'm free. I feel great that I've seen my mother, which I have not seen in over 2 decades. I feel great that I've seen my brothers and my sisters and my immediate families here in Jordan. At the same time, I feel sad that I had to leave the way I left. I've left my wife over there. I left my daughters over there. I left my businesses over there. I left my friends, my community, my Youngstown, my hometown. I've lived in Youngstown and in the United States more than any other time in any part of this world. Therefore, it's my town, it's my city.
What was your thought process over here?
I didn't think. That was nothing for me to think about, you know. It's not the place. It's the person, you know. You want to be with the person that you love. And that's one person I do love. I would go to the moon for. I get to see you tomorrow. I know. I can't wait.
What's that choice like between being with Amer and being close to your daughters?
It's ripping a family apart. Not being able to see my daughters is
Do you know when you'll be back?
No, I'm gonna go and take it one day at a time, but I eventually will come back and check on the girls in the business. That's Amer's legacy, and we gotta keep it going.
How many people saying we coming to see y'all? We bring y'all back here. You need a vacation anyways.
As you head towards him, what is it that you'd want to say to him? What would you want him to hear right now?
That I'm coming. Don't worry about nothing. Everything is taken care of here. And I'll be there less than 24 hours. And that's it.
For the first time in a long time, I woke up this morning and I reached out and she was right by me. So it was an absolutely fantastic feeling.
This is our house. Well, our old house. We don't live here anymore. You know, it's just, I guess, a part of life. Like, we aren't ever gonna come back here, no matter what happens. It's not ours anymore, you know, to call it our home. This is this building he found at an auction. It's crazy because he had so many ideas for this place, but he's not going to be able to be here to see anything be put to life. He built a legacy here. I think that this is way more important to me and to my family, so for now, this is where I want to be.
Hate is not a way to live. Hate is not something that should be in anybody's dictionary, actually. Hate is something that is hateful. Therefore, for somebody to carry such a thing, they have a problem. Whoever took that decision has a problem. That's why I pray for them. America is not what I've seen. I love America. I love the American people. I love the dreams that I've always had. I love when I started my dream 40 years ago, but I don't think that America is what this administration and Trump represents. America is way better. I would tell anybody that is going through what I have gone through, don't quit. It's an important battle.